Happy May to everyone. We're in a new month. Here I am in the sanctuary of our church, and I'm wondering when it will be that we will be back together in worship here. I think it's going to be a lot longer than most of us imagine. And when it happens, it's going to be different than it was before. We're not going to simply go back to doing everything the way we did before. For example, when I look out on Sunday mornings, this is what I imagine we're going to see. We'll probably have these to pass out. Or maybe you will bring your own custom-made face covering as you come into worship. But that may be one of the protocols we have. Or taking people's temperature. I'm not sure. The leadership of our church is still trying to figure this out. And we're in discussions doing that. And churches will be doing that all over our country. But things will be different. And what's important to understand is this is not simply an interruption. Like when the electricity goes out and when it comes back on, you go back to doing the things you were doing before. This is a disruption that changes the way that we do things moving forward. I think of the generation that went through the Great Depression and World War II. And how that disruption changed the way they move forward. Maybe it's not to that great extent. Maybe it's more like the internet, which was a disruption when it came into our culture and organizations had to adapt in the way they were doing things. And what's crazy about this particular case of the pandemic is that it came on so rapidly and so globally. This week, our staff is attending the Orange Conference, something that we've attended the last couple of years physically, but now we're having to do it online, which has been a disruption. One of the speakers is a guy named Simon Sinek, and he has coined this phrase, Existential Flexibility, which is the capacity to make a profound shift in strategy to help advance your cause in the face of extreme disruptions. In other words, to change how you do something because of extreme disruptions. Not changing your mission, not changing your original purpose, but how you do it. I think that's what we're in now. And so the question is, what principles should guide us in deciding what changes to make? And the principle that should guide us is the principle of Jesus, the principle of love, to love others as Jesus has loved us. When the earliest followers of Jesus had their lives disrupted by Jesus' life, death, and then resurrection, we read in the New Testament how they were seeking to live their lives now. And they knew this principle of love well, and they sought to live it out. For example, when the Apostle Paul wrote to the earliest Christians in Philippi, he wrote these words as recorded in Philippians chapter 2, verse 3 and 4. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in humility consider others better than yourselves. Each of you should look not only to your own interests, but also to the interest of others. To live our lives more for others than for ourselves. To put others ahead of ourselves. Simon Sinek says that those organizations that successfully make the pivot, the turn in the face of extreme disruptions are those who adapt to serve a real need. Who look at the resources that they have and say, how can we use what we have and maybe adapt how we've used them in the past to serve the needs of people? That's the Jesus way. That's the way of love. That's the principle that ought to guide us. So what do we do now? Well, I don't have all those answers. As leaders in our church, we are in discussion about how we will make changes. But what about for you? You might be asking, what should I do now? And again, I don't have those answers, but I'm wondering if beginning to wear a face covering when you're out in public is one way you can adapt. to serve others, to love others. I'm distressed that wearing this has already started to become a political thing. Instead of simply saying that when I wear this, I am caring more for you than for myself. I'm putting myself at a little discomfort, or I'm self-limiting my rights for your safety. That's the Jesus way. To care more for others than for ourselves. And as we move forward and decide what to do, let this be the principle that guides us. May this be a word of hope and encouragement and strength and instruction for us today, dear ones. Have a great day.